Hello, everyone. My name is Edith, also known as the Lady E, and welcome to the Lady E Effect podcast. Today, I want to just go ahead and get started. We have a really exciting guest today. There's a lot of topics that we're going to get into, so I'm going to let him go ahead and introduce himself and just share with us who you are.
So thank you for having me. It's good to be here. It's good to see my fam again, Lady E. Good to be on the podcast. I love this podcast. I love this show. I love what you've been doing with it and the conversations you've been having. So you've had some people on that I really rock with and admire. So it's all love, and it's been really dope to see. So I'm glad to be here. My name is Martin.soaries. I'm the founder of Basketball Society, a multimedia basketball brand. And I also do digital marketing work kind of on the side as a freelancer. I work for different people in different capacities. I also work for myself. I also run a platform called Holistic Hooper, which is designed to help basketball players learn how to stretch and breathe better and how to get started in their journeys in meditation and mindfulness. And so between all of that and some other stuff that I kind of just slip in on the side, that's pretty much who I am and what I'm doing right now.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited. I know the audience is definitely looking forward to hear all the amazing things that you do, your purpose. Just really, really excited for today's space. As you shared, you do a lot of different things. You, of course, have a lot of influence in the community in very different ways. Sports, of course, business, marketing, entrepreneurship, the list goes on. And I definitely want to get into some topics today. I know the audience is going to get a lot of value regarding the different topics that we are going to discuss. So let's just go ahead and dive in. So one of the first things I want to talk about, I'm sure with you and other listeners, we have a lot of different discussions regarding just mindset and, your mentality, how you carry yourself, of course, your lifestyle and everything really surrounds your mindset. So I want to specifically go into the word mindfulness. I want to get your thoughts and just have you go in depth on what mindfulness means to you.
So yeah, I've been practicing meditation and mindfulness for a couple of years now, really since the pandemic, which is when I got a chance to everyone had a chance to slow down and just do focus on themselves in some way, form, or fashion. And that slowing down time was the perfect time for me to get started with that. And it wasn't intentional. It kind of just happened, but it was meant to happen. Mindfulness to me is um I think that we all are already mindful. Every time we each go to fall asleep, we're being mindful. So mindfulness already exists in what we do every day. We speak, we react, we talk, we read, we listen, we text, we tweet, we do I mean, we're constantly being mindful of what we're doing each day. So mindfulness is basically just a built-in way to describe kind of the human experience. But when you get into the details of it, what it means for me is you go kind of deeper into the next layer of it. So on the surface level, again, I believe we're all mindfulness is just there. But if you go on to the into the next level of it personally for mindfulness, which is what it is for me, it's simply getting more detailed and more mindful about the moments. And because we can watch too easily, we can watch days and weeks and months go by. Oh, where did the time go? Time is flying, right? And it is. Mindfulness for me has been the best way for me to be able to slow down time, acknowledge and be mindful of just each moment, being grateful for each moment, and therefore acknowledging it and embracing it. And for me, that is real mindfulness, and that's to me, it's like the best way to live.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you're absolutely right. So much has been going on, especially in the last 2, 3 years in the space of, the pandemic and things like that. So in regards to mindfulness, especially when it comes to you coaching and educating the youth, how do you use the space of mindfulness to really coach the youth?
Yeah, so as a basketball trainer, I mean, when I started training basketball, I was not teaching breathing or meditation or any of that. I've been training for about 6 or 7 years now, and just like in anything, I've evolved and I've improved because I keep doing it. But since I started my own meditation and mindfulness practice, it naturally had to. I couldn't coach basketball. I couldn't work with a kid on the right hand and their crossover. I can't help but watch them breathing. I'm like, bro, forget this. Let's work on this. Like, you're not even going to get this until this gets really aligned. So it had to translate. And then I started to realize how valuable, how important that was. Like I said, that became more important than the physical functions of crossover between the legs and all that good stuff. It's like, you can get this down first. Trust me, all that is going to come a lot easier, a lot smoother. So mindfulness, again, we're already mindful. So in basketball is such a mindful game. There are so many details and nuances and skills, your feet, your hands, I mean, you got to be really tapped in and really in tune for basketball. It's not just kicking it's not just hitting and tackling. Like, it's a very skillful game and sport. And so working with kids on all levels. I mean, I got kids that are, I mean, D1 top high school players and all that good stuff. And I work with kids who are at the very beginner, just having to learn how to make a left hand layup. So it's cool to see that dynamic, because even the kids up, even the best ones, they need the mindfulness the most because they're under pressure. They've got to perform. They need it. But the ones over here in the beginning, they need it too. They really need it too, because again, we can talk about your mechanics with your shot and your wrist and then your dribbling. I can give you the physical mechanics, but if I see you holding your breath and if I see you all tense up and stuff, it's like, whoa, let me talk you through that first. Like, we'll keep dribbling, but I'm going to talk to you. You're going to hear me saying more about your breath and how aware are you just here for an hour because your dad wanted to pay somebody to teach you how to play basketball, or like, are you here with me right now? Are we here? So mindfulness is the mindfulness, kind of realm, whether it's meditation, breath work. I mean, mindfulness is incorporated in everything. So being more mindful in my training just gives me a way better just connection to that person. Cause then that player even realizes, like, dang, he's not just giving me drills. Like, it seems like, dang, like, he sounds like he cares about me. Like, we just met. Like, why does it seem like he really wants me to do well? Like, so it's like, it creates a way different relationship as a trainer, for sure. And the best part is that it's going to help you as a player. That's the best part. I can tell you, I can show you, like, yo, this will help you as a player. But the beautiful part is that on the back end, it helps them as a human being, which doesn't sound as good, but I can hook them in by saying, yo, this stuff can help you, bro, with your jump shot, with your free. I mean, this stuff can literally help you as a player. That hooks them in. Come to find out, if they take it on their own in practice, it helps them as an entire human being.
Yeah, that is super, super important. I mean, it just even takes me back to the days when I used to play all sports, but specifically track and field. That was the thing that I loved about track and field. There's so many different events, and breathing techniques is super, super, super critical, because whether you're a sprinter or you're doing cross country, you absolutely have to be mindful of how you breathe. Like, we were taught at a very young age, the endurance, breathe in through your mouth, out breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, right? So just having the skill set of really understanding it's a mental thing and really training your body to breathe, that is a lifelong lesson. Because let's say if you are going through something challenging, that's something that could trigger anxiety, that's something that could trigger stress levels, or maybe push you in areas of depression. So when you realize, when it comes to your mind, but just how you breathe, and just the whole area within that, it's not even just in an area that applies to sports. Like you said, it really does apply to like your everyday living. It really helps you face different challenges, because a lot of students and kids, like, we learn things in school, but we don't really have these conversations to the depth that it needs to be, especially when it comes to dealing with anxiety, dealing with depression. Like, we discuss it more or less, but like, I know that even times if I've experienced some area of anxiety in the past, learning how to breathe through a possible anxiety attack, or if you're having like a panic attack, or you're just having a full blown episode, something that you've never experienced before. It's not really educated enough, like, taking a deep breath and like how you breathe, and, just pacing yourself in something that, something is taking over your body, and you're not really educated or taught how to really conquer that. So, especially when it comes to a space like basketball, like you said, everything about basketball is like, critical. It's mindful. There's pressure on you. You want to win, your teammates are depending on you, you don't want to let your family down. It's a lot of pressure. So a lot of times that can cause an athlete, or, someone coming into that light, to have some type of anxiety, or to not know how to breathe, or, take it easy. So I'm really appreciative of you having this topic in this space that we're talking about it, because, especially as a coach, a mentor, but also someone that not even just people look up to, as you said, in this pandemic, we all were pretty much forced to like humble ourselves and really learn certain things about ourselves that maybe in other areas of life we really didn't get an opportunity to do it, because we're just so focus and quick to like, I got work to do, I have things to do, I have a deadline, I have things that I got to take care of. So that alone can just make you super intense, and a lot of times that's also how people naturally get injured outside of athletes, because their muscles are so tense and they don't really know the importance of just really breathing properly, or stretching, and just that preparation before you even get up and walk out the door for work, let alone sports. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that, because we really have to have these conversations more, because sports is it really what makes the world. The Super Bowl just passed, the NBA playoffs are around the corner. There's a lot of different sectors of sports, and we're taught the importance of practice makes perfect, and training, but we're really not taught enough about how do we breathe, right? If something is facing us, like how do we breathe? Because people have heart attacks, and a lot of times that's also connected to anxiety as well. So if you're going through something like that and you don't really have any type of resources or anyone like educating you on the importance of just taking 5-10 seconds to breathe, that is really life-changing, valuable information. So we really appreciate you touching on that. So I'm going to shift it a little bit. This actually is, of course, connected to mindset, but I definitely want to get into yoga. I know it's something that, we always hear about yoga. I feel like it's something that's always more or less associated with women, but yoga is very, very therapeutic. And I really want to pick your brain and get your thoughts in the area of yoga, and how do you feel that it's valuable to everyday people, let alone athletes?
Well, as I started just kind of educating myself a little bit more about yoga, I was I was stretching. Like I have a buddy of mine, my business partner who started Holistic Hooper with me. He is a fascial stretch therapist, so he introduced me to like the real way of stretching, not necessarily yoga, but he does like a combination. Like he puts you on the table. It's like massage mixed with stretching. So he did stuff to me and then had me, and then I stood up. I'm like, yo, bro, what is this? Like, I've been massaged before, I've been stretched before. I feel like a god right now. Like, tell me more, bro. What is this? So he told me about fascia and connective tissue and all this stuff. I'm like, bro, this is crazy. So come to find out, yoga is like kind of like the ultimate version. It's like that's like where you go to when you're ready to like really tap in on some good high level stretching. It's like yoga. So I actually hired a teacher that I met online for 8 weeks. She taught me last at around this time last year, because I just wanted a one-on-one to get started. And that's where my yoga bro thing came, because after I finished each session, I'd just be laying there like, dog, this yoga, bro. Like, why do I feel like that? Like I have stretched before. I mean, no one taught me how to really stretch, but like I've done the stretches. I've done the, you know what I mean? Like I've stretched, but I'm like, bro, how in the world did no one put me? How have I never felt like this before? Why do I feel like this? Can I keep feeling like this? Can I just keep doing yoga? Like, so what I came to learn when I first started looking into yoga and reading stuff, and like this is an ancient practice, yo. This is an ancient practice. People, humans just like us, were doing this to, loosen their hips and to get their mind, to clear their minds. Like they were using this to relieve stress, to relieve anxiety, to keep their bodies and their minds fresh. Like this is an ancient thing, bro. And so like I'm just like, bro, it's one of those things that, like, I was just working with a team yesterday doing a yoga session with them. And it's like, and someone asked me, like, is it hard to teach, meditation? It's like, yo, bro, all I ever ask these, players and stuff, if I work with them for the first time, I'm like, yo, just all I need you to do is try it, bro. This is going to be 20, 30 minutes, because my thing is like, it's gonna work. Like you can't, like I told them, like, yo, bro, y'all take a couple moves I just showed you that you like, that you felt like really, hit you in the right area. Like take a couple moves, do them joints for 10 to 15 minutes every day for the next 2 weeks. And if one of y'all track me down, and if you don't feel different after doing 10 to 15 minutes every day just for 2 weeks, just to start, do that joint, hit me in 2 weeks and tell me you don't feel different. And if you tell me nothing happened and you didn't have any, and nothing fit, you got it, bro. I'll just hang it up and I'll stop talking about yoga. I'll retire. I'll just hang it up. Like, dog, this is foolproof. It's foolproof. It comes from, and the best part is that it comes from us. So, like, the yoga and stuff, like, yeah, it's stretching, but like you learn how to align your breathing, how to time your breathing with your stretches and your movement. Suddenly, like it becomes, it's deeper than just like a workout. If you do, like, I've been going to hot yoga, like hot yoga, 45 minutes, hot power vinyasa, all that in a 95-degree room. That's when you want to get real funky. But like you could do yoga in a 70-degree room, in a comfortable space, just right in your room, do a couple moves. That joint, you're gonna be sitting there like, dog, I just feel different. So something like that, that's one, ancient, people been doing it. Two, you could go to a yoga class and pay, but like if you have someone like me that could show you a couple moves, or just go on YouTube and watch some, grab a couple moves, then you could do it for free. Now I'm getting high on my own supply. I could get up. It's free, dog. All it takes is my vessel, my body, my breath, and my commitment to taking a little bit of time each day. Do that downward dog, bro. Get into that stretch. Do that. Time your breath, 10, 15 minutes, and get right. Well, why do we not gravitate to the things that make us feel like, we gravitate to other things that make us feel good? We think that make us feel good. This joint makes you feel. I've listened. I've felt every feeling you could possibly. I've taken things that make me feel all types of ways. I've been on everything. This, bruh, for this to make me feel this good, and I don't have to put nothing in my body. I don't have to pay anybody. I don't have to get, for me to feel that good. I'm like, is this a no brainer? It's a no brainer.
Yeah.
Why would I not keep doing it?
Yeah. And like you said, your body, your vessel, just the alignment of all that. It makes me think about like when you go to like a doctor to do like, an x-ray or MRI versus like a chiropractic doctor, like they can stretch you out in a way that's super different than like, let me not say an average or a regular doctor, but you know what I mean? Like I've seen a lot of videos and I've had experiences too where I've had maybe an injury or like, something traumatic happened to my body where I have to see a chiropractic doctor. And it kind of feels like, you leave and you're shocked, like, wow, like I didn't even know my body could, stretch like that or do those things. And it's beyond flexibility because, again, just in areas of sports, like there's so many sports that really push your body to the edge, right? Whether it's an injury or you have to learn how to understand your body in some type of element of a sport level, right? So outside of basketball and track and field, there's volleyball, there's gymnastics, there's so many other sports that really push your body in an out of body experience type of thing, but it teaches you the different joint levels and just the different areas of your body that everyday living wouldn't teach you otherwise. So, yeah, I agree. I mean, everything has its own kind of connotation, but it's important for us to really have our own experience. And that's important to teach the youth. And most importantly, like you said, those that coach or you speak to, hey, just give it a try. Kind of like if you're subscribing to something, it's like, listen, you get those first 14 days free. If you want to subscribe, move forward. If you don't, it's up to you. So just really giving someone the opportunity to make a choice and not like try to force anything or, try to pull teeth is also really important, because that's how someone can really see the value of, the opportunity there. And like you said, it's free. There's of course a lot of experts and more or less people that, may charge you, but no, there's a lot of free, valuable information and techniques and things that when you implicate it to your everyday living, it really makes a huge difference in things that just, oh, going to the gym and lifting weights, or, going on the field and, playing flag football or just anything that nature. Like, you're not going to be able to understand those breathing techniques. You're not going to be able to understand, the importance of stretching your body to prevent as much as possible a possible injury, or if you have the injury, like learning how to get back into that space of like healing. And I'm sure you and I both have had injuries unexpectedly, not just in the on the court or on the field, but just, just as the older you get, you can pull something unexpectedly, or your back can go out, or, you step on the wrong space in your foot. So it's like just having that woosah and that really, important understanding of breathing techniques and how it really, really is super valuable, especially if you're dealing with corporate, if you're dealing with, something in a very pressure type of space. A lot of people, that just causes them to have their breathing like really intense. They don't know what to do. They start to have maybe a mental breakdown. Like, it can cause a lot of not even just anxiety, but a lot of health risks and a lot of effects on the body that a lot of people don't realize, especially in the space of the pandemic. I think that's something that was also important to realize. It was really a blessing to have this pandemic, because we all move too fast. We don't really like we don't really take the time to really just like, all right, slow down. Like, time is flying, but God does not want us to move like our heads are cut off like chickens. Like, we have to really just like seize the moment and really live in the present moment versus, oh, I got to do this and I got to do that and I didn't do this enough. And, there's already that pressure in the world. But like you said, like giving something a try to just really try that for yourself, and just how much healing that comes into that is like super, super critical. So, yeah, it's important for us to learn our minds, the mindfulness of like how we think, even deeper than what we do think, and then just how we breathe, and just that domino effect of, you know, how are we implicating things that outside of skill sets and studying better and learning how to do this or master our crafts, like how are we breathing, how are we nourishing our bodies? Like, I even had this conversation with my mother too. She graduated from Howard University and she graduated in the space of nutrition, and I say this all the time, like the real doctors are the nutritionists, and they're not really given as much, I don't want to say credit, but as much flowers as they deserve, because I respect all people in the medical field. I have a lot of expertise in a lot of different industries, but definitely healthcare in various ways. But, there's one thing to take, pain medicine or something like that, but how are we nourishing our bodies? Like, what do we eat? How much do we eat? Do we have that balance? Are we taking water? Like, are we understanding the type of fruits and vegetables? So I think that's also something that when it comes to mindfulness and it comes to yoga, the nourishment of your body, when you really implicate yoga, is something really critical, because it makes a huge difference. It really eliminates that area of anxiety. It just makes you not be fearful when anxiety tries to knock on your door too, right? It just lets you know, like, okay, I see it, kind of like in a game, like, okay, you guys might be the undefeated champions, but I'm not scared. It really allows you to have that necessary confidence. It allows you to really understand your body in a way that a doctor or someone else really can't teach you. So I absolutely agree. Being mindful of your temple, your body, your vessel, your spirit, your soul. Like these are all things that are aligned within you. And it takes the journey of life for you to really understand, outside of things that you're exposed to, what is truly important outside of the things that the world tells us important. So yeah, mindfulness is super important. Yoga is super important. And like I said, I'm really glad that you touched bases the way you did, especially implicating it to young men and just men of all ages, right? As well as women too, because as I mentioned earlier, I mean, yoga is something that just seems like it's like, oh, it's a woman thing. No, it's a human thing. And like you said, this is an ancient practice. So, there's a lot of things that our ancestors did that were harmful. There are also a lot of things that our ancestors did that, we're not implicating enough into our everyday lives that have a huge difference on the longevity of our lives, let alone our health. So yeah, we really appreciate you touching on this because it's something that we need to talk about more, especially in this space. I mean, the pandemic is not over. There's a lot of different sicknesses that happen in, summer or winter, cold or hot. So, especially with what you were saying earlier regarding just yoga and just like the different settings, like, having it in a hot setting versus having something a little bit more cool, it definitely is for sure. It makes a difference when it comes to your body and just being mindful of like your senses and just observing and paying attention to like you. And from, we have multiple senses that we really don't realize all of them matter until, things like, this pandemic, or, a lot of people going through things where, they lost their smell, they lost their hearing, they lost their sight, or things that, dang, you don't really realize how much it's needing until you don't have it anymore. Like you don't even have the accessibility to it. So yeah, we appreciate these conversations because especially in a space of sports and endurance, and you hear things about working out and all those type of things, but if you're not breathing right, I mean, it can absolutely be a recipe for disaster. It really can. So thank you so much for touching on that because we really have to have these conversations more. I know, men are, yes, masculine, but there's nothing wrong with yoga. There's nothing wrong with understanding how you breathe. It's important.
Yeah, I was telling kids yesterday, like every yoga class I've been to, dog, I'm like, y'all think I see hoopers? No, I see old white women, I see overweight people, I see young people, I see all types of people in the yoga class. People I don't see, hoopers and black men. And definitely no black men hoopers. I mean, it's rare, not never, but it's just rare. And I'm like why are we being left out? Like we just content with just sitting over here and be like, oh, that's that fruity stuff. Like, dog, like what are we doing? Like how did we miss that? Like how did that just skip over basketball players and black people? I'm a black male basketball player. Yoga done skipped over everyone. Black people, black men, basketball players. Somehow we just missed it. It just skipped over and went all to the white folks and everybody else. I'm like, dog, what was wrong with y'all? This like this. You kidding me? Dog? Y'all got to stretch anyway. Y'all got people get everybody. They all got their stretch routines. They all do the same. They walk up. They line up on the baseline. They go to half court and back. And every basketball team. Y'all got stretching stuff already. But guess what? And again, I'm not faulting the coaches or anything. Like I fault people when I came. I'm like nobody surely showed me coming up, but it's the whole system. The whole system is flawed and needs to be changed. So that's the goal, is to like let's bring yoga and meditation to the forefront for basketball. Let's at least make it the norm. I feel like that's where it should be already. It belongs there as one of the norms, just like everything other things we do in basketball. Yoga should be the norm, especially for young basketball players. It just should. They got to people. Everyone talks about stretch and mental health and get your mind right. Like everyone talks about that stuff, but it's like, well, who in the hell is showing the damn kids how to get the minds right? And how, so y'all just gonna talk about mental and just talk about, and then I go to practices and y'all stand and then y'all just doing the same stuff. Like it's like, come on, dog, there's too much information out here. That's what I love about your family, is that your family specifically, all of y'all, what y'all do with information, like y'all are just serious about information in different ways. But that's something that I appreciate about you and other members of your family. The information is out here, and we can do things with it. It's not always good or perfect, and it's not always and perfectly useful and helpful, but it's good to just dive in and just find some information. I've been reading these books, dog, about breathing, and I just finished a book called Biohack Your Brain. I have no interest in science or neuroscience. I didn't study it. I don't want to study it. I never will. That's not my field. But dog, I'm in this whole mind. I'm like studying. I'm like thinking about my mind and how to. Dog, the truth is, ever since I was a kid, I wanted superpowers. I watch X-Men and Avengers and Superman and Batman. I'm a superhero, dog. I wanted super. So the closest thing I have been able to find in this realm that resembles superpowers is this stuff right here, this mindfulness stuff. Because when I do this yoga, when I meditate, when I'm tapped in, bro, this is it. This is where I want to be. And guess what? I may not be able to move things with my mind or disappear or nothing like that. That's for the movie. That's the movie version of superpowers. This real life version is controlling your emotions, making the decisions that you want to make, not just a decision just because you think, oh, I'm gonna just do this just because. No, like being in control of what you want to do, what you don't want to do. It's that simple. The superpower is a single mom, raising her kid on her own, just doing it. So I see examples of superheroes, superpowers all the time. For me, this is what I needed because this helps me slow down time, see the future, heal myself, do all kinds of stuff that closest resembles superpowers. So this is it for me. This is it, and I know there's others out there that are interested. So it's like, trust me, we can do this. This is for us.
Yeah, speaking of that, there this is such a very necessary area of dialogue because even when I think about suicides, right? When we do suicides in basketball, I remember even when I used to play basketball back in the day, I was better at track, but it just what it does to your body, it's I hated it, but I loved it at the same time because it really whipped me into shape. But if you're not breathing right, right? If you're not understanding the importance of going through that training and then that healing part, that nourishing part, that, giving your body that rest and just the cycle and the routine of just understanding the preparation is just as important as the aftermath, right? Yeah, I agree. Having the mindfulness of yoga and implicating it not into just your everyday lives, but like you said, it really is like a superpower because it's the alignment of your mind, it's the alignment of your physical being, it's alignment of your consciousness, your cognitive, your emotional dialect. It teaches you the value of like, that's not that serious, right? Versus like you're holding in a lot of emotion that can cause anxiety, that can cause just unhealthy things within your system that affects how you eat, that affects how you sleep. If you sleep, your rest, like it affects so many things. So, I agree. A lot more men, especially men of color, hoopers, basketball players, football players, right? Soccer players. A lot of people need to understand the importance of how to breathe and stretch too, because there's a lot of trainers that I've met too, physical trainers that don't stretch, which I don't really understand because that's hazardous. It's very, very hazardous, especially when you're lifting or you're doing body building, techniques. Like it's totally dangerous not to just like, of course, yeah, you can have protein shakes and stuff like that. But if you don't nourish your body from the avenue of properly stretching and breathing and just having that breathing technique in between the times that you're doing your sets and while you're doing your sets, that's why you see a lot of those they call it funny videos, but honestly, it's really serious when you see someone like maybe bench pressing or something and they're lifting something super heavy and it falls on their chest, or, something that could cause like cardiac arrest or things that we really don't think about enough. So, yeah, it's important to talk about this, especially in a space of sports because, unfortunately, they don't talk about a lot of the deaths and like the crazy injuries that happen due to the lack of not implicating this, let alone having those conversations. So, no, we need to have these conversations more. We're definitely going to um have you back on the show because we really need to be educating the people more on this is a part of your nutrition, right? This is a part of what extends your lifestyle and just the longevity of your life, let alone your health. And we as people of color, like, the older we get, the younger we look, which is a blessing. But if our interior, souls in our bodies doesn't really reflect, the avenue of what we need to talk about, then yeah, it's really not important, because how are we going to be able to implicate it if we're not even here to be that example to other people? So no, we really appreciate having you here. We really appreciate these conversations, because especially with the variety of ages of who you coach, you mentor, and then you also learning from other people. And I love the fact that as many people as you coach, you teach, you educate, you still don't hesitate to learn. You still don't hesitate to obtain information and, try different things and see what works best for you, because you really don't know until you experience it. And of course, be mindful about what you experience, of course, especially in today's world. But, just really taking the techniques of yoga, of breathing, of how you breathe, just kind of how they time you in track, or how quickly can you do a layup, or different things like that. Like, just implicating that yoga space is life changing. That's super life changing. So thank you so much for bringing so much value bringing so much value to this platform. We appreciate your kind words. Us here at the Lady E Effect, we really love having, guests that are just gifted in so many different ways, and just bring so much value, and just really pick people's brains and make them go back and think like, wow, like I never realized, like, it really makes you think. And that's really the purpose of why we're in the space. There's a lot of information everywhere. A lot of it is harmful, a lot of it is helpful. It's just a lot. So people just can get super overwhelmed. So when we just take the time to just slow down and just, implicate this dialogue, people can really think like, wow, like, this could prevent a heart attack, this could prevent anxiety, this can prevent everyday things that really are designed to attack us and bring us down, and just take a toll, and just overweigh, like, things that we really don't need to be even focused on. So it just allows that disciplinary, it allows that cognitive approach to just be free, right? You know, as Jesus said, like, he didn't want us to have any burden, you know what I mean? Like, we are supposed to be free, right? We are supposed to not carry, like they say, bag lady. We not supposed to be doing all of that. You know what I mean? So to close out the segment for today, what message would you like to leave for the people? You're welcome to share anything, but what message would you like to leave for those that are listening?
Breathe through your nose. It can be difficult, it can be different, it can be weird if you're not used to it, or if you haven't done it intentionally. There are times when you already naturally kind of breathe through your. Anytime you keep your mouth closed, you're breathing through your nose. You can't breathe through your ears. So, and whenever your mouth is closed, you're breathing through your nose. My message is, more often than you already do, be mindful of it. Practice. The great time is when you're listening to someone talk, but it can be at any time. Notice how different you feel when you take about 5 to 10 good breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. Just breathing through the nose. It could be in through the nose and out through the mouth. But if you want to get real funky, just practice that good old fashioned nasal breathing. Keep the mouth closed, and see what happens.
That is a great way to educate all, because this is something that we can take not just for sports or, work. This is like a life changing space to talk about. So thank you so much for just coming on, blessing the mic, just sharing with us all the value and the experiences that you've learned as you are just being a blessing to others, just coaching, educating, things like that. If anybody wants to reach out to you, how would they be able to find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Martin.soaries, and you can find me on YouTube on the Basketball Society YouTube channel. Just type in Basketball Society, and you'll see what's going on. And you can find us at Holistic Hooper on Instagram too, holistic.hooper.
All right. Well, we will also have this information in the description box. Thank you so much for being here and sharing so much value that you have. Looking forward to having you back on the show, and definitely got to get on your podcast as well. Check him out. He's doing a lot of amazing things for the youth. So, looking forward to it. Again, this is Edith. Welcome. Thank you all so much for being here. And until next time, follow us on YouTube and follow us on all social media platforms. We'll have all the information for both of us in the